Alrighty, our bread I think is done. Let's take a look. It's been in here for actually about 20 minutes because I looked at it at 15 minutes in and I didn't think it was quite crispy enough. Now, this is all personal preference. If you like really crispy bread, make it really crispy. If you like a softer bread, leave it really soft. It's totally fine. But these guys right now are crispy on the outside and still tender on the inside. So if you listen, you can hear crunchy, but the middle is still soft. So these look great. I tossed them a couple of times while they were in the oven. And actually they look great. They smell amazing. Actually, I'm gonna taste one. Oh my God. The olive oil and the salt and the pepper and the ciabatta. It's really good. Alrighty, so I'm gonna gather the rest of our salad goodies and we're gonna build our salad. We've got our bread, our toasty bread, and we've got all of our salad fixings. So like I said earlier, a traditional panzanella is generally like bread and tomato and basil and the vinaigrette, but we're gonna add some other goodies to ours. So we're gonna add our tomatoes. In they go. We're gonna add some cucumbers just because I love cucumbers. Ta-da. And I'm a big fan of caprese salad, which is an Italian salad that is basically just tomatoes and mozzarella cheese. So I've got these little guys, these little cute little cheesy guys. Oh, they're so good. And we're gonna toss these in as well. Whoop, get in there, guys. Now, we've also got basil. And the basil's right here, but we're not gonna add it yet because here's the deal with this salad. We're gonna add the vinaigrette. It's in this big bowl for a reason. This is the bowl we're gonna serve it in, right? But right now I've got it in this big bowl because we need to toss it. It's gonna make a huge mess if I put it in this pretty little bowl. So we're gonna add the vinaigrette, we're gonna toss it, and then we need to let this salad sit for at least 30 minutes because what happens is the bread and the vegetables absorb the vinaigrette. Now this salad can actually sit up to 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. You can put it in the fridge if you want. If it's just for like a half an hour, hour, 2 hours, it doesn't have to go in the fridge. There's nothing really in here that's like sensitive to time and temperature. It's not gonna go bad. The vinaigrette's not gonna go bad. In fact, the vinaigrette's highly acidic and will help preserve the salad. The cheese won't go bad, the tomatoes and the cucumbers won't go bad. Like nothing's gonna go bad. So you can just leave it sitting on the counter for an hour or two if you want. The longer it sits, the better it will taste. But then there's like, a point where that ends, right? So if it sits there for like 8 hours, it's gonna be kind of a soggy mess. So we're gonna add the vinaigrette after giving it a good solid shake. This has been sitting for half an hour because we wanted to mellow out the shallots and the raw garlic that's in here. And then when we let the salad sit, we need to toss it occasionally. So if we're letting it sit for half an hour, I'm gonna probably toss it every 10 minutes. And if it's sitting there for an hour, you probably wanna toss it every 20 minutes. And the point of that is to make sure that the bread and the vegetables get evenly coated with the vinaigrette. Because when we pour this in here, it's gonna coat everything and it's gonna kind of slowly migrate to the bottom of the bowl. And by giving it a good toss every once in a while, it's gonna make sure that everything like absorbs evenly. So we're gonna add this. We don't want like a big soupy salad. So I'm gonna add probably half of it, and then I'm gonna reserve the rest. And as this is sitting, if I observe that there is no extra like salad dressing in the bottom, then I'm gonna add more. It's better to add too little in the beginning and add more later than it is to add too much. I mean, I guess with the salad, you can always pour it off. The problem is that like if there's a big puddle of vinaigrette sitting in the bottom, the bread that's on the bottom is gonna be really, really, really saturated with vinaigrette. And it could be like too much. And we're not gonna add the basil. This basil is actually, I cut it into ribbons so that it looks nice. But if we were to add this to this salad right now and then let it sit, like the salt and the acid in the vinaigrette would wilt the basil and it would just turn kind of brown and gross and lifeless. So we're not gonna add the basil until right before we serve it. So we've got our salad. We're gonna give it a good mix here. Everything's getting evenly coated. I can see that there is a little bit of salad dressing on the bottom. So what we're gonna do is just leave the salad dressing alone. This looks great, and we will come back in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and just see how it's doing. We've got our salad. It's been about 45 minutes. I checked it at 30 minutes, and I didn't really think that the bread had absorbed enough vinaigrette, so I added a little bit more vinaigrette. Maybe another 1/4 cup to this whole bowl, gave it a toss, tossed it a few more times, and let it sit another 15 minutes. And it's looking great. So what we're gonna do now is add our basil. So basil like this, in this form, is called chiffonade. And like if you check out the fresh herbs training that I did, you'll find out how to cut these. It's actually really easy. You just take the big basil leaves, they're big, and you stack them up like 4 or 5, you roll them up like a cigar, and you just slice them crosswise. And what you get are these little guys. But I highly recommend you check out the herb chopping video because there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So we're gonna add this to the salad. I like a lot of basil because I think it like really brings flavor. Oop, that piece did not get cut enough. And in we go. Like basil is such a like, flavor, right? It's so refreshing and it's so like, just good, right? So I like adding a lot of basil. We're gonna give this another good toss. Here we go. And it looks beautiful. It looks so good. I'm actually gonna add a little, actually I'm gonna save the last of that basil for topping it so that it's pretty. Remember, always pay attention to how you can make your dish more attractive. An attractive dish looks more delicious and therefore it tastes more delicious because our brain is like a huge part of our sense of taste. So I'm gonna show you the salad. We've got this right here. We've got our bread, we've got our basil, we've got our tomatoes, we've got our pretty little cucumbers, and we've got our little bits of mozzarella cheese, which are delicious. And we're gonna put this in a pretty bowl now so that we can serve it. See if I can get this in the bowl without pouring it all over myself, which would be nice. Ta-da, let's go. So it's important to make the salad in a big bowl like this because if I were to try and toss this salad in this little bowl, it would have gotten everywhere. And like it's only moderately annoying when it's just bread and vegetables. Like once there's vinaigrette in here, if it gets everywhere, it's a nightmare to clean up. And actually it can make the floor really slippery and it can just be, not fun times. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of peek around here. We're gonna arrange things so it's a little prettier. It looks good. You can see the basil's already starting to wilt a little bit with the vinaigrette, and that is why we don't want to add the basil when that's still sitting. Like we want the basil to look as fresh as possible when we serve it. Got the little last bit, scatter it over the top, and that looks so good. This is like, there's something about this salad, right? It's got vegetables, it's got bread, it's a great lunch. It comes together really fast. If you want to like toast bread like ahead of time, you could just have it like sitting in a bag, ready to make a salad. You can use fresh bread if you want, if you don't want to take the time to toast it. If you use fresh bread, this salad comes together in like 10 minutes, seriously. All you have to do is like chop up a tomato and some cucumber. And you don't even need the cucumber if you don't want to. So we're going to taste this guy. I want a piece of bread. Oh, I want a piece of cheese. And I want a little piece of tomato. I want it all. And you get to stare at me while I sit here and talk with my mouth full. Oh my God. This is so good. This is like classic Italian flavors, right? We've got the bright balsamic vinegar with a little bit of sweetness. We've got the tomatoes. We've got like the bread, which is, this happens to be Italian bread, but you can use any bread. We've got the bits of cheese. Oh my God. I just want to like face plant in the middle of the salad and take a nap.